Hello, everyone. We are very excited to bring you our very first webinar with Bromwich+Smith. And we get a lot of questions around credit, as you can imagine. It's one of the most important things that people think about when they're considering to file for bankruptcy or proposal. And so we wanted to put this webinar together today to give you some really great, useful information and things to think about for your credit as you consider bankruptcy and proposal. And so today, we have a bit of an agenda. We have a great expert from our community, Richard Moxley, who I'll introduce to you and will share his knowledge on credit and rebuilding credit. We'll talk a little bit about credit basics and things you should know. How will bankruptcy or proposal affect your credit? You'll get those answers today. How long will bankruptcy or proposal stay on your credit? You'll find out a bit more about that. Of course, when can you qualify for best rates and terms? And really that's one of the most important things to think about when you are trying to look at rebuilding that credit. Will this affect your mortgage or vehicle? And then last but not least, empowering decisions to take back your financial future. We know that when you're looking at financial challenges, it's really important to think about where you'll be as you come to a place of well-being in the future. So without further ado, I want to introduce our special guest. He's here with me today, Richard Moxley from eCredit, and he is a great resource for credit information in our community. He was a mortgage broker for 8 years. He's also the best-selling author of The 9 Rules of Credit. He currently hosts the Credit TV, and he is now working full-time to repair credit report errors and fraud. So this truly is someone who is an expert in our community. So welcome, Richard. Thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you.
All right.
So we'll get started. I am excited about this as well because there's a lot of people that will call me and ask all these questions that we're going to cover. They're very common questions, probably questions that you have as well if you're looking into some debt solutions for you. And it is important to look at the end from the beginning to see which is the best solution for you. We'll answer these questions as best as we can for you. So the first one, your credit score is important, but is it the most important part? So a lot of people will say, that I have a really great credit score, so I'm a little worried about getting into a debt program because it's going to wreck my credit. Now, a credit score is important for only one thing. It's important for you to get qualified for best rates and best terms. When looking at debt programs as a solution, or if you're in over your head with debt and just looking for help, although a credit score is important, keep in mind that even if you have a great credit score, if you're racked up and can't handle the debt that you currently have, no bank or lender is going to give you additional credit at best rates and best terms. So the credit score, yes, is important, but also keep in mind that you need to consider the next question, which is, should I pay down my debt or get a fresh start? Because with paying down of debt, yes, you can try and pay more than your minimum payments, and you can, maybe talk with family, friends, or pull out investments or whatever you're looking for as solutions to get rid of this debt that you have. Or you can look at a fresh start. And the key with that is, how long is it going to take you to either pay off your debt or rebuild your credit and get a fresh start? So that's some of the most important questions that you can ask while you're in this decision time for you. When you look at paying down debt, if you ever want to look at how long it's going to take you to pay down your debt on just paying your minimum payments, then just look at your credit card statement. And legally now all the credit card statements have to show you how long it will take for you to pay down that debt just by making your minimum payments. And unfortunately, it's a pretty depressing number generally. But the key is that you need to be able to figure out, if at the pace that you're currently at, how long will it take you to pay down debt? And then look at the other option of a bankruptcy or consumer proposal and look at, yes, it will lower your score and you won't qualify for best rates and best terms right away, but looking at that compared to how long you would be declined anyways by a bank for future debt and being stuck with the debt, which one is more important and how long? So those are some important questions to think about. Now the next one, What do you do when you are declined or late on any payments? This is a great time for you to stop and ponder what your options are. A lot of people like to put their head in the sand, as they say, or just kind of freak out or try and ignore it and hope that the lotto is going to save them, or they're going to get a raise, or something's going to improve in the future. But this is a very important time to look at what are your options, because if you're late or being declined for something, it means that there's an issue, there's a problem. And yes, you could hope for, wish on the stars if you want to say, but the key is there actually are programs that are out there designed to help you with that. You do not have to stress. You do not have to be losing out on sleep and not eating and freaking out about the debt issues that you have. There are programs available in Canada that are licensed by the government that are all designed to help you get rid of that debt and start all over again. A big question is, will it hurt my credit score? Yes, a bankruptcy and a consumer proposal will both affect your credit score, but it still might be the best option for you. And this is just continuing that conversation that we just had on, although a credit score is important to qualify for best rates and best terms, having no debt or a lot less debt is also very important. And so the key is yes, it will lower your score, but still don't count it out as an option, because there are other programs out there that seem to advertise or like to advertise that they're not going to lower your credit score and they'll still get rid of the debt. That's actually something you want to be very careful about. Bankruptcy and consumer proposal is the only program out there licensed by the federal government. And so you want to be careful about other programs that are advertising that, hey, we'll take care of your debt, but we won't hurt your credit. I've never seen a program like that. So yes, these programs hurt your credit, but still they're great programs to consider. Something to keep in mind on how long it will affect your credit. A bankruptcy stays on your credit report for 6 years after completion. Okay, so the key thing is after you've done paying and completing the program of bankruptcy in Alberta, it's 6 years. Now the reason why I say Alberta is because with Equifax, everywhere in every province, it's 6 years. But with TransUnion, it actually is 7 years in Ontario, Quebec, New Brunswick, PEI, and Newfoundland. Then we got a consumer proposal, and it's on your credit report for 3 years after completion of the proposal. And that's across the board with both Equifax and TransUnion, which are the only two credit reporting agencies here in Canada. And then the last one, it's 2 years from the time that you have completed your program, whether it's a proposal or bankruptcy, that you can qualify for best rates and best terms. And so the key with that is this does not happen organically. If you go into a bankruptcy or proposal and then at the end of it you don't do anything, you're not going to qualify for best rates and best terms. However, if you are proactive with your credit and rebuilding your credit and focused on and looking for help on that, then that is something that within 2 years you can qualify for best rates, best terms, and with major banks. So major banks, major lenders, and pretty much any type of financing. Thing that we didn't highlight here is that if it's a double bankruptcy or it's your second time as a bankruptcy, it's different. It's actually 14 years. But for first-time bankruptcy and proposal, these timeframes are correct. So the next one is, can I get credit while I'm in bankruptcy or consumer proposal? So yes, you can. Now, you do want to talk to your trustee about different conditions, as different provinces do have different restrictions. And it's always good to talk to your trustee about these questions anyways. But in general, with mortgage and vehicle financing, they are what's called secured creditors. And so what that means is there's some kind of asset involved, like a car or a house. Just because you have a mortgage or a house, it doesn't mean that you actually have to hand in your keys to the trustee. The bank is not interested in collecting houses, neither is the trustee. They just want to get the debt taken care of. And so there's ways around having to hand that in. And it's something where this actually holds back a lot of people from talking to a trustee. And one thing that is important, and I'll probably repeat myself on this one, is that it's best to talk to a trustee because they offer a free consultation. They'll have you in and you can ask any of these questions before you're committing to anything. And what that allows you to do is just make sure that your specific situation fits into the typical guidelines. But generally speaking, don't let a mortgage or a vehicle loan hold you back from a consumer proposal or a bankruptcy, because there's lots of options and the trustee will work with you on that. Also, going back to this kind of putting your head in the sand natural response that we have, it's important to understand that if you wait, especially when it comes to a repossession on a foreclosure, trying to run away from a creditor and not pay them for a while and see how long you can take before they actually take your vehicle or close something, that is not a suggestion that I have, because the longer you wait, the worse it's going to be for your credit and for rebuilding your credit afterwards. And the trustee, as soon as you decide to pull the trigger on a bankruptcy or proposal, the creditors are stayed. And what that means is that the trustee is in control of everything and you're protected. And so that is something that can really help protect your credit after or help you on the rebuilding stage after a bankruptcy or proposal, as opposed to waiting until you're in court and they're telling you that they're taking it from you. So if you have any assets that you're trying to protect, more imperative, or it's even more important for you to talk to a trustee sooner rather than later. All right, if you have missed a payment, once again, it's very important for you to take time to look at the different options to protect yourself from legal protection, whether it's the government like CRA, or whether it's a business, someone's coming after you legally and you own a business, or with divorce or whatever the case may be. These are things that you want to be very proactive on. The next one is your credit is already taking a hit as soon as you miss a payment. And so if you can get prepared before you start making late payments, then you're going to be better off for that. The other thing that I'm very passionate about, and the reason why I left the mortgage side of things to focus on credit, is because credit is kind of this mystery that a lot of Canadians have, and it doesn't have to be. Once you know how it works, it's actually, it's fun. And as dorky as that may sound, I find it as fun because it's having these secret bank secrets and these kind of loopholes that once you know how that works, it becomes an empowering thing. And that's something that Bromwich is trying to do with these webinars is empower you so that you can make the best decision for you. Biggest things that I want to make sure that you get across in the webinar is, first of all, how long will it take for you to pay back your debt versus rebuilding your credit? And a lot of people think bankruptcy is the worst thing that can happen to your credit. What matters the most to future banks and lenders and rebuilding your credit, how quickly can you get out of the program, or how quickly can you complete the program, and have you reestablished your credit and built everything back up within the last 2 years? Banks and lenders really care about what has happened in the last 2 years. There's hundreds of thousands of Canadians that go into a bankruptcy or proposal every year, and so they understand that stuff happens, and that stuff can really stop you in your tracks when it comes to your finances. And banks understand that, and so they are most concerned about the last 2 years. And so that's why it's important on looking at, whether you're paying it back as opposed to rebuilding. How do I get back to best rates and best terms? First of all, understand that the sooner you get rid of the debt and get out of the program, the sooner you can start rebuilding, and that 2-year time clock really starts being important for getting back on track. So although we talk about 6 years or however long you're thinking, just keep in mind that although it's on your credit report for 6 years, it's 2 years to get back to major banks and finances. And then the last one is, what is the best way to get my future financial future back on track? And the biggest thing is make sure that you are being proactive with getting information. Talk to a trustee, see what your options are. When you're done the bankruptcy proposal or any debt program, there's options out there, there's information out there. So the Credit TV that I host, that is specifically designed to teach people how credit works and how you can rebuild your credit quickly. But the biggest thing on getting your financial future back is finding out what you need to do and being proactive with that.
Awesome. Thank you, Richard. We were really glad to have you here today. We really appreciate all of your experience and your expertise, and I hope that this webinar was useful for you in understanding your credit and how it works when you're considering a bankruptcy and proposal. And we thought we'd leave you with some resources. If you are interested in learning more, please by all means connect with us, Bromwich+Smith Facebook or eCredit Fix, and also on Instagram at Rebuild Your Worth. So thank you very much, and hopefully this was helpful for your decision. Have a great day.